Hello everyone and welcome to another tutorial of Rhinoceros Grasshopper. In this occasion, what we are going to use is a component called Randome Reduce. We're going to make a pattern like this one that we can see in this speaker. So as you can see, it's more dense. It has more density in the middle of this shape of this surface, and then as you go out, it randomly starts fading out. Okay, so that's what we are gonna do. I'm sure there is many ways to do it, but I'm gonna show you how to do it with the Randome Reduce component and also with the dispatch. Those are the main components that we're gonna use today. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the top view and I'm gonna create a grid, and in that grid I'm gonna put all those circles or whatever shape you would like to put. So to create the grid, we go to vector, and here we have different kind of grids. We're gonna go to the square one, and here we can control. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit, and we have already some default values for the plane, the size, the extension on X and the extension on the Y direction. So we are gonna put some number sliders to control everything. The size now it's 1, so I'm gonna create a slider that goes from 1 to maybe 20 with a couple of decimals. And then I'm gonna create another 2 sliders that go from 10 to maybe 100. And with these 2 components, I'm gonna control the extension or the amount of cells in the X direction or in the Y direction. So I'm gonna connect this here, and then I'm gonna make it a bit bigger, and you can see it grows on one side or the other. Okay, I'm gonna zoom in a little bit, or I'm gonna actually make this bigger. Okay, so the output of this component are the cells or the points. We can work with either of them. So if we create a circle or circles and we connect it to the points, then we have circle on each vertex of this grid. I'm gonna turn off the grid, and we are gonna work with the points output. So if you have a closer look to this shape or this pattern, you can see that there is a non-existent circle in between some of them. So we have one circle, none, one circle, none, one circle, none, and so on. So we need to get rid of a middle circle or a middle point. To do that, we're gonna use the dispatch that we have mentioned in several occasions. And the dispatch, what it does is that we connect a list into it, okay, and we define a pattern with a boolean, okay, it's true or false, and then whatever is true is going to go to list A, and whatever is false is going to go to list B. The default pattern that it has, it's true and false. So we're going to have one item on list A, one item on list B, one item on list A, and one item on list B. It's going to split a list, okay? Keep in mind that what's coming out from this output, it's a tree. We can see it from the discontinuous line that comes out from the points. We are going to work with lists, okay? We don't want to work with a tree in this case. So what we're going to do is going to make this tree a list. So we're going to right click and flatten it. and now you can see there's a double line, which means that we're gonna transporting a list. Okay, this tree, I'm gonna unflatten it for a second, is made by the amount of branches that we have in in the extension of X, okay, and then the amount of items on each branch depends on what we have on Y. Okay, so this is what's happening here. If we put the mouse on it, we can see that we have 57 or 58 branches, and each one with 56 items. So I'm going to flatten it again, as we said. So we have only one list or one branch, okay, with X items. And I'm going to connect that to the list, and I'm going to keep the pattern as it is, okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn this off, and I'm going to connect the output of list A to the circle, okay. So in order for this to work, okay, what we are doing is getting rid of some of these points or some of the circles, and we're keeping the other ones. But in order for this to work, we need to make sure that these sliders that define the amount of items that we have in X and Y are even. If they're not even, then we're not going to be doing much at all. So now we have the pattern that we want, and the advantage of doing it this way is that we can make the distance in between each other a little bit smaller, okay, because we're getting rid of a circle in between. Okay, so this is the first step of our algorithm. Okay, the next thing that we are gonna do, we have some of the circles that are gonna stay as they are, and some of the circles are gonna fade away as they go further from the middle. So what we're gonna do next is divide this grid into two. We're gonna divide this grid into a section that it's closer to the middle and a section that it's closer to the boundaries. So to create the section that is closer to the boundaries, we need some lines where we can measure the distance of each of these points to each of these lines, and then say we don't want this, or we want to do this with the circles that are closer. It's basically a curve attractor that we have explained in previous tutorials. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use a component called brep edges, this one here, and before that I need to create the brep. So to create a brep, or a surface out of all the circles, I'm gonna use this bounding box. Okay, so what this bounding box does, I'm gonna connect all the points to this content, and what this does, it creates a bounding box on each of the objects I'm giving it to them. I'm not seeing anything because I'm connecting points and creating a box of each of these points. As the point is an non-dimensional value or thing, I cannot see anything. So those bounding box have no dimensions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on it. I'm going to click here on union box. What this will do is gonna unite all those points and create one union box for all of them. This is gonna be a surface in this case because all of those points are on the same plane. Okay, so in this case, this is not a box, but it's much more like a plane. And then out of that box, I'm going to get the edges. Okay, I'm gonna turn this off. And here we have the edges of that surface. So this component will give us the naked or interior edges of that surface. Now we want to work with the naked ones, and I'm going to join those curves. If we put the mouse on top of them, we can see that we have 4 curves of this square surface, and I need to join them. So there's a component that it's called join curves, that what it's going to do is going to create one curve out of all of those curves. I'm going to turn this off. And if you check the output of this, now you can see that we have a polyline, one polyline created by those 4 curves. Okay. So next thing that we're going to do is we need to, we were doing all of this because we need to measure the distance that it's from that curve to each of those points. So for that, I'm going to use, it's the same as the curve attractor that we've done previously. So I'm going to go to, I'm going to get the component curve closest point. And what this does, remember, it will give us the distance in between points and a curve. Well, it will give us many things, but one of the things, the one that we are interested on, is the distance. It's measuring distances. Okay, so that's what we need right now. Okay, we could get the points, those points that are on the curve, which are the closest points on the curve, the parameters, or the distance. Now we want the distance. And the other thing that we need to create, it's so we need to create that section or that division in between the inner circles and the outer ones. Okay, so to do that, we're going to make a comparison. Okay, so I'm going to go to maths, and here I have this component that is called larger than. What this component does, it's it compares a first number to a second number, and it's gonna give me, or what's gonna be true, it's what it's gonna how do you explain it? So if the first number is bigger than the second number, then it's gonna be a true result. The output is gonna be true. Otherwise, it's gonna be false. Okay, so that's gonna give us a boolean, and for that, what we're going to do is get another dispatch that we already know that works with a boolean, and that pattern is not going to be the default pattern that we already know it has. It's going to be the pattern created with this. Okay, so I'm going to connect it here. So the numbers that I want to compare are these distances with an x distance that I'm going to create here. So I'm going to create a slider that goes maybe from 1 to, let's say, I don't know, 20 with a few decimals. And I'm going to connect it here. And now I'm going to get a panel to see what's coming out from here, so you can see. Okay, so what this is doing, it's comparing all of them, and you can see that some of them are false, and then we start having true. If we change this number, then that list is going to be changing. Okay, so that boolean, it's what's going to be created or splitting the list that we connect here. Okay, so we're going to get list A and list B. One of them is going to be the one closer to the edge, and the other one is going to be the one that it's in the middle. And that list that we need is coming from here. Okay, I'm going to turn this off. I'm actually gonna turn this off as well. And here I'm gonna get the circles, and let's connect them to list A. So if you have a look, those circles are in the inner part of that square. If I make this bigger, that list is smaller and list B is going to be bigger. If I connect list B on those planes, then I get the group that is on the outer part of that surface. Okay, so now we have divided the inner part and the outer part of that grid. Okay, the inner part is list A and the outer part is B. List A is we're gonna keep it as it is, because as we said, the inner part of our pattern, we wanted to stay dense, or we wanted to keep it dense. And as we go out, they're gonna start randomly fading away. Okay, so what we need to do now is do something with list B, and that's what we're gonna show in the part 2, or in the second part of this tutorial. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next part of the tutorial.